Back to the scheduled program. You guys want to be on my videos, you gotta cover up that yellow nonsense on your shirts there.
Not to get paid. Not to get paid.
Actually, I wonder if you could just color in some of it, and that's
it'll just wash away.
yeah, like just spray paint the EINE, and then you have the MKE.
Well, that's what I thought, but I feel
We're
like
actually ordering new shirts that just have the address and phone number
in the wash
and our names on it. So you'll have Caleb, phone number and address. Be mine.
Or maybe I'll just
be Pit Viper.
Mike.
Pit Viper. Yeah. Oh, look
No,
yeah. Mike.
You're a lug nut.
So, GM, for all you GM owners out there that are driving big piles of crap right now, and we're going to say their worst production engines are from 20 to 25.
I would agree with that.
At least 5 years run. I don't see if the 24s have a DOD. They do?
If 20.
No, I'm saying 22s. No, I mean 19s. I think it's 18.
I think it's 18.
Can you look and then go back to work? So I think it's 2017 or 18. When did GM start DOD? We're gonna look this up. We're gonna give it to you raw. Not GDI. You don't care about GDI, which is another almost disaster too.
Well, when they went to direct inject, because they had DOD and LSs too. So
Let's just stick to the LS platform. I want to say it's 2015. Wow. I don't know if I can get away with that.
Mike.
I know.
2010 is when they debuted the Gen 4.
Yeah, but when did it hit production?
2010 model year.
Wow.
It's been around for a while. It's just they started having major issues when they went to direct injection of DOD.
Because of fuel dilution, that's
Exactly.
100% there.
That's
All right,
why
so GM started DOD or fuel on demand. It's got a bunch of different names.
Displacement on demand.
Yeah,
Cam's truck
displacement on demand.
has DOD. The Caprice is DOD.
And it says the Gen 4 small block. Now, GM's calling their LS series the small block when it's really not. I consider a small block SBC. I don't consider LS small block, although it's still a small block engine.
Technically, an LS is SBC.
Yeah.
No. So the original small block engine is not that design.
I know.
So the original small block was in like 1960 or something. Put that in there. We'll do a little trivia. So here you go, 1955. That engine was GM's best engine for 40, 50 years almost, 40 years? Into the late 90s.
Well,
Actually, into the
I
2000s.
was gonna say they tried to do they tried to make the C4 Corvette. That was iffy.
Well, that was their best engine V produced ever, and they stayed with it forever, right? And then we'll fast forward into the LS, or actually the Vortec. So it's SBC, I think it was Vortec, LT1, and then on and on and on. So SBC is the original, but Chevy is calling this new generation LS SBC. Maybe they're trying to resonate with the audience of an engine that they never really had any problems with. Maybe some valve guide seals, some valve cover gaskets. But the whole thing for GM was that they wanted to take the small block Chevy to the next level, and then they introduced the LS engine, which was phenomenal forever and ever and ever. And then they started adding tech to the LS engine.
Started in 97 model year, but 97 they started producing it, but 98 model.
I'm saying the small block had some revisions when it went to Vortec, LT1, and things like that, which were still great engines with stupid designs like central port injection and blah, 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 blah. So let's just get into LS. Then they had the run of, we want to take the small block Chevy and we want to re-engineer it We want to make it GM's most powerful, most durable engine, and they did achieve that. The LS series it was a 4.8, 5.3, 6.0. And we had that generation of engine forever with minor failures like roller, trunnion failures.
Yeah, you'd have your normal failures like lifters.
But they weren't eating connecting rods, and they weren't throwing pistons out the side of the block. It wasn't like that. It was a very, very stout bottom end, and they moved the crankshaft into the middle, or moved the crankshaft in a small block Chevy from kind of below the block, and then moved it up inside the block in the LS series
For more rigidity.
to lessen the vibrations in the engine with the 6-bolt main. Basically bulletproof in the bottom ends. The rotating assembly was fantastic, even in its powder-coated rods and silicone-based pistons in some of the engines, and cast aluminum in others. And then some of the rod designs, which really weren't fantastic, were still good because the engine wasn't very vibrating because the crankshaft had a higher center of gravity. Am I saying that right? Yeah, so lower center of gravity, meaning the crankshaft was hanging out of the block. Higher, meaning it's in the block more. That went on forever and ever and ever. Great engine. Everyone loved this. Everyone loved this, an LS engine so much that they were taking out their Ford and Mopar engines and putting LSs in everything. Now, fast forward to the last 5 years of grenade engines that they had made, but they started in 2010, is what Jude's saying. But you're talking
With displacement on demand.
right, almost right. So we had
You have your Gen 4s, which are still port injection.
Yeah.
Like your original LSs, like your Gen 3s, which is the 5.3 Vortec 4.8.
all right. So
all
we're gonna
that.
say they started this nonsense with DOD in 2010. Wasn't very successful.
EPA's fault.
Then they added.
In 18, I believe, is when they went to direct injection
Correct.
with the DOD.
So they took an engine that was phenomenal, and then they added a flawed design. Then they took that engine and added another flawed design. And then when they introduced DOD with GDI engines, the fuel dilution is so bad in these engines that the oil that they advise, which is the minimum weight and winter and viscosity, could not properly take care of that engine under the abuse of the consumers not doing strict maintenance practices, even more on their detuned race engines. And I say this all the time. The engines from 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s weren't really detuned race engines. This is a detuned race engine right here, 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, right? Over here,
Technically,
not a turbocharged engine, but they also make this car a turbocharged engine, which is a detuned race engine.
That's technically a detuned race engine.
That's turbocharged, detuned race engine. You know what customers don't know how to do?
Take care of them.
Take care of race engines. Detuned, quiet race engines. So everybody in the GM family who buys a 4.8, 5.3, 6.0, 6.2, what are they looking for when you buy a big V8? Power, horsepower, torque, towing, all of that. You know what didn't deliver? DOD and GDI engines in the configuration of engines in the last almost 10 years. You're buying engines that were ready to grenade, and if the consumers probably knew how to maintenance those engines properly because the dealerships didn't advise them and the manufacturers, it may not have been so catastrophic. But it's to the point now they said, scrub all that crap into LS. Take all that crap and we're going to redesign it. So what did they do? They redesigned the engine block for better oiling. They upgraded the materials in the crankshaft and rods. They redesigned they eliminated DOD completely, and they still left variable cam timing, which is still, I believe, is a waste of ingenuity, but they peeled back a lot of the defective crap that they engineered into the car. But here's the problem: they left GDI engine. You're still introducing tons of raw fuel into the crankcase, which fuel dilutes the engine oil. So this engine's going to be better. Remember when I said that planned obsolescence was their goal,
Yes.
and that they did so well for so long, right? People were keeping their cars for 20 or 30 years. It doesn't make them buy new cars if they don't have lots of failure. So then they were here, and then the customers were saying in their car earlier, we build the best engines, they last the longest with the minimal amount of repairs and maintenance coming into this. Now they fast forward. We want profits, we want car sales, we want this, we want that. How do you get the consumer back? Sell them piles of shit so they can blow them up just out of warranty or while they're in warranty, and then we're gonna see how bad it gets. So they went this direction with technology advancements, poor engineering, and then what happened is their pockets started bleeding. Their bank accounts were bleeding with engine failures. So it's like, okay, well, we went too far into the planned obsolescence thing because our goal was to make money, not lose money. And they were losing market share and customers because they can't build a quality product, nor can they get you to maintenance that product properly. That's a fact. So now I said they went so far in the wrong direction. This is all these manufacturers that now they have to go back to this. So where's the happy medium? We were here, we didn't want to be here. We went here and we were okay, and then say, F it, let's go to max it out. How fast can you get this engine and transmission to grenade? It can't even make it off the assembly line. It can't make it off the trailer to deliver it. The customer can't make it down the street. And then the customers who were lucky barely made it 3 years into their payments before the engine was grenaded or the transmission's grenaded. So now they're like, all right, before nobody buys our products anymore, we better get our shit together and start building quality vehicles that customers could trust again.
I think that genuinely it's probably smarter that they're going back because
100%.
If you think about it, more people are going to go buy Chevys because, oh, hey, they're reliable. They went back to the old technology.
Well, hold on. They had their major transmission manufacturers say, we don't want to be part of your nonsense
I
anymore.
saw that.
Allison
said, we're done.
Allison said they have until a certain date before their name needs to be wiped from Chevy entirely.
They're done.
So if you still have trucks on the lots that have Allison transmissions, you need to go outside and pull the batteries off. You need to pull it off your market.
They don't even want to be affiliated with Chevy and GM anymore.
You do not want to be affiliated.
You're an armpit. That's basically what they said. And I don't know if that was a wake-up call for them. But here you go. One of the best transmission manufacturers in the entire world said, yeah, our relationship's
Big
over.
rocks.
We're done. And someone's going to come and say something else. I don't care. When you put your best transmission product behind a brand, you want to know that power plant and you are
You're gonna change the
sistered, right? Yeah.
Because if GM gets a bad rap,
Then Allison's going to get a bad rap too. And a lot of what technology today is what they're saying is they rely on the transmission to get these engines in their peak efficiency constantly with all the tuning and computer controls. Even if the customer's beating on it, that transmission controller is watching that and saying, hey, it's going to stay in its most efficient RPM range before it ships. It's going to do this. That's where there's tuning comes in for us. So the transmission and drivetrain have a lot to do with the engine efficiency as well. So
there's the ability to blame transmissions tuning for the engine going back.
well, I don't think that's what they were saying. They're saying
I
that
know that's not what they're saying, but I'm saying
they're using the transmission technology to make that engine really work, which is understandable, right?
Yeah.
So they're saying we can take away DOD and then rely on the transmission tuning, gearing, and building to keep this engine in its most efficient
like
ranges all the time.
it's like how Ford still does the 5.0s. They have the 10 speeds.
And then they said that then we can do away with DOD because we can get that same efficiency in the transmission. Well, now you don't have the best transmission company in the world working with you.
I mean, hasn't Chevy been using 10 speeds?
Yeah, they both produce the same transmissions. Both the 10R80 and the Chevy and Fords are the same.
Yeah.
It's just the tuning is different. So Chevy tunes theirs differently than Ford does.
So what is this video really about? Who's going to want a vehicle? So when are they rolling this out in 28 or 27? So 2027, you're going to get the updated LS small block that they're saying you're going to easily get 300,000 miles out of, just like the older original LS when they upgraded the small block Chevy. Plenty of those LS engines without all that nonsense, no problem could make 300,000 miles.
I had 260 on my Suburban.
Right.
The
And that if you mildly maintenanced it, you could achieve that. Now, if you fantastically and meticulously maintain that engine, you could probably see 500,000 miles or more before it's mechanically worn out. You hear that, warranty companies? Because mechanical shit wears out.
The only reason I got rid of it was because the trans went. And I wasn't going to do a trans on the street.
So now what? What does this do to the market for the we're going to say from 2020 to 2025, 26, 27? Don't buy any of their shit because it's the same problems. I wouldn't do it. So they're going to have a rough patch. And then now that the whole world knows that you build shit, a shitty product and a crappy product, who's going to want them? When the customer trades it in, the dealership doesn't even want them.
They're going to sit on used lots.
You're going to send them to the auction or used lots, and then that used car dealer is going to be tortured. Like when you hear used car dealers today, hear a customer wants to trade in Tesla, they're like, no thanks. Don't want any parts of it. You didn't take care of it. It's ready to fall apart. It costs too much for a battery. It costs too much for tires. I don't want to deal with the nonsense. Almost every used car dealership, if you have a Tesla, does not want your battery operated crap. Don't want it. Go deal with it on your own. They're not interested. And the ones who said, ooh, the battery operated world is the way to go, they all got burned taking those cars that they traded in that have 50, 100,000 miles on it. Because the cost to take care of them are ridiculous. So, GM, I wouldn't buy a new GM truck until 2027. And they always say don't buy the first year production engine. If it is almost identical to the original LS platform, you got a money maker there. But the DOD is the failure. But I know how to work. The DOD was a failure.
Buy it before they discontinue it again.
And stupid them that they discontinued all those LS engines. You could have just took all your junk shit out and put all that in your current vehicles, and your customers would have been happy. You had all that inventory for 4.8s, 5.3s, 6.0s, and then you said we're no longer producing any of these engines. How stupid was that? Because you still have consumers like me and Jude. If you had them sitting on the shelf in a wrapper, we would still buy them. We wouldn't buy your DOD and your GDI engines ever. So I wouldn't buy GM small block, they're calling it, or new LS until 2027, and I would risk buying it. But I know how to maintain these engines. I probably would have a little bit better success than the average person. But I definitely would buy their first production new LS engine without DOD. Not a big fan of GDI engines. You have to change the oil way more frequently than they advertise. Every car that you're driving today is a detuned race car, and you, the consumer, don't know how to maintain it or take care of it, nor does the dealership want to tell you. But like I said, they went too far and planned obsolescence that all these manufacturers are eating free engines and free crankshafts because the engines are burning oil. The customers are running the oil changes way too far on GDI. The fuel dilution's evaporating the oil, a lot of moving pieces, and they're buying connecting rods and crankshafts and short blocks, and forget all the other retarded engine designs that they've come up with, all at your expense. to get you to buy another car just as it's out of warranty. That's horrible. Absolutely. They were here and it's like, well, we build the best product. Customers keep our vehicles for 20 or 30 years. They don't cry too much about the repairs and maintenance because we engineered it the best we could for our customers. Then they say, okay, well, let's get greedy and engineer it, here. All right, we're still not making the money that we want. People are still staying in their cars too long, and then they went wham right here. I can't keep a new car out on the lot for 3 years. That's a problem. That's a problem. How many people are out here driving around with these Ford wet belts and Chevy wet belts that don't know that a rubber belt in engine oil that's contaminated is highly corrosive and eats rubber? Crazy, right? So, who's going to want a 2025 to 2017 Chevy product? Nobody. 26, forget it. I wouldn't buy it. 27, I would definitely buy it. Shalom. Tell me what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.